recording started. Entire screen presentation is also started. Okay. I hope the screen is visible and I'm also audible. Okay. Yes, so we'll begin. So, Homma Private Access weekly meeting today, 26th July. What we are going to discuss in general in this meeting is what what's happening in terms of breadth and momentum. Breadth, the trend and momentum from breadth. What's happening, what's happened, and what might happen. Anticipations. At the end, we also discuss some key group sectors and go through some strong charts. So what's happening this week with the Nifty 50 as well as Nifty 500, which are the only two key indices I track. Both are at ATH, right? Almost at ATH, or rather. What's happening to breadth? So this week, clearly, last 3 days, the breadth has been increasing, although the indices only showed that today, but the breadth data were pointing towards something like that happening, in the sense that the strength coming back in the market 2 days ago. And we will discuss exactly that today. Momentum has also started increasing slowly. So anticipation, last week in general, what we anticipate is that the 1 day shakeout and again going back up, that has been a theme of the whole bull market. We've been caught a lot of times with that. Stop loss had been taken out, and then very soon we start back up, right? So that was something which we were cognizant and anticipating something like that happened. And although on Friday, which is like last Friday, there was a small curving up on the momentum curve, that did not play out immediately. Monday, Tuesday, because of the event, which is the budget, we had a shakeout on a Tuesday, and after that we have been on the bullish curve. Today is the third day of bullishness. And this week, so the next week, what anticipation again? I will at last repeat this again, but what I and the anticipation from the data is again that either we will consolidate sideways to consolidate the gains from the bottom, the 3 day move, and then again the medium term outlook is that we will break out to newer highs. Okay. And first, what we will do is we will also in some time go through the sectors which were already strong and bullish before the shakeout. The couple of sectors which are again fresh gaining strength has now become the stronger sectors, and some of the names which are probably gaining new strength. Okay, we'll do this as well. So let's begin with the breadth indicator. Um, w- would you please mute yourself, Shrikant, if it is not required? All right, I'll do that for you. Okay. So let's start the discussion today, which is the broader discussion, which is the market timing tool. Even before that, whatever I have talked about, which is the trend and momentum, is also from this, right? So if you see, this is the proxy for trend, which is basically the percentage of stocks which are above 10 DMA. Okay, so this is basically from 100 to minus 100. The x-axis would, sorry, from 0 to minus 100, 0 to 100, which basically means if it is very near to 0, around 20, below 20, that is basically known as the oversold zone on a shorter time period. Whereas if it reaches above 80, then we know that the breath is really hot, and we might anticipate a pullback. Okay, so Last week, whole week, we had the direction down, and in fact, on Monday, Tuesday, this 50 was breached below. So generally, the regimes are like this. If it is above 50, then we are on a bullish regime. Even if it is coming down, we are mota mota bullish regime. If it is below zero or below 50, we are in a sort of bearish regime. But what happened on the 24th, you know, 23rd rather, we had a cross back. The plot crossed its 5-day moving average, and this is a potent signal of strength returning back in the market. Similarly, the momentum also we can read it very similarly, just that the regime here is above zero. So above zero means that the momentum is positive, and positive momentum always is great. In here also we had the regime change on 24th, one day after. Generally momentum is slightly lagging, and the trend signal comes a day or two early. Okay, and we can use this in a very clever way also to time our entry and exits. I'll show that in a moment. So this is basically the trend and momentum. And the other very important primary indicator, breadth indicator of buying, is your 4% advanced decline. And on 19th, which was a bearish day, in fact, after that, 22nd, 23rd, and the next 5 days, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, this all of these days, despite that shakeout, we actually had a positive number. Okay, which basically means that all throughout these days, the buying was more than the selling, mota mota. So this is one of the most important breadth indicators you can watch to keep yourself in the right side of the market. Okay, so all in all, the breadth now looks okay. So let's go and look at breadth quickly on a CNX 500 chart. So so this is the same thing, whatever I showed you here, short term trend and short term momentum in Tradingview. So if when you see this here in front of the chart, it makes more sense, right? So this was the क्या बोलते हैं उसको, budget day shakeout, and the next day itself, even before that budget day, we the strength in the market was actually coming up. So you had a positive, not positive, but the directionality was on the upside. And then the day next to the budget day, we had the cross back. Similarly, the momentum crossback happened yesterday. Okay, but if you had just looked at this guy, you would have misread the strength in the market as but the strength was actually positive. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go back to the presentation, wherein what I'm going to discuss now and tie things together in the sense that how you can use that trend and momentum as a tool to time bottom in this case, but I'll also discuss a little bit about the top. So number one is a shakeout as a bottom indicator. Okay, so you will appreciate the fact that whenever in the last bull run a shakeout event has happened. So by shakeout I mean things like this, like or like a heavy fall on a day, and then either on the same day or the next day. The same day will be like a one day shakeout. The second day, if the recovery comes, that's the 2 day shakeout event. So this was a shakeout, this was a shakeout, this was a shakeout. Albeit some of them are not too potent, but there are some very potent ones. So for example, this is a very 2 day potent shakeout. Like it was a big fall, like minus 2.6 is a big fall, and the second day again we had a recovery. This was one of the biggest potent shakeout. Like on this day, portfolios were down to the tune of minus 10%. Minus 6 was, I would say, average down, right? And on this day also similar thing happened. We had a shakeout and then went up. So if you plot, so one thing is to see the shakeout on Nifty 500, and it's also purely, it is also visible from the candle itself. But because we are looking at breadth data here and not mm, and not the Nifty 500 data, because many of the times, like I just showed you, indices can lie to you, right? Excuse me. So the first thing is to look at the breadth. Sorry, is to like look at the shakeout data, right? So one way to I should have already opened up my um, anyways. Uh, hold on, hold on. Come on. Shakeout, shakeout. Yeah. So I'd just done a post very recently wherein so this is an indicator. This is actually a scanner, and this is provided on HPA to HPA people. So this and there are a couple of versions of shakeouts. Why the different version? Because like I said, the shakeouts can be 1 day shakeouts, 2 day shakeouts. Okay, so this is a 2 day shakeout event. So 1 day shakeout scanner will not catch this. So that's why I have like a small modification. This one is a 2 day shakeout, and this one is a just a 1 day shakeout. So you can see that the number of shakeouts lie very nicely uh, on the shakeout day. So whenever we have spike on shakeouts, that is first indication ki acha today is a very high probability, almost more than 90% probability. So if 20 times shakeout has happened, 18 to 19 times that would mark the top, right? So that is a very high probability event that given the whole market is bullish, that day is likely to be a bottom. So once you get that data, the next you see is percentage above 10 DMA cross above its 5 DMA. Okay, so this is sort of a confirmation which basically tells you that hey, the breadth, uh, the bullishness, the strength in the market is back. Okay, this is 1 day, second day, but on the same day, what happens is ORBOs crosses ORBDs. Okay, now what are these? These are basically intraday indicators, and in this case, what the ORBO and ORBD data plots is basically you have a open range. In this case, it's a 3 minute open range, and it basically plots how many stocks or what percentage of stocks are breaking above their open range breakouts. So ORBO is open range breakout, and ORBD is how many stocks are breaking down their open range breakdown. So on a market wide breadth level data on that day, or either on the shakeout day or the next day, the ORBOs always crosses above ORBDs, and something like this. So today was a very strong day. This will also become like this. So I don't have the snapshot of exactly uh, what happened 2 days before on the budget day shakeout, but similar thing happened. I might have the snapshot somewhere else, but trust me when I say this, that the intraday strength on that day is visible via the ORB range breakouts. Okay. um, Hold on. uh, Timing the bounce, yeah. So so net movers will turn positive on that day. That is also another one where you can see that the net movers is basically the net 4% data. So on 23rd, which is basically the day of the budget, what happened is we actually, this is the day end data, no, at the end of the day it prints, because this is one prints 1 day daily. But on 23rd, if you see, This was the 12:15. At 12:15 the ORB intraday went up to minus 20. This was a time when our dear finance minister uh, announced the 12.5% and 20% tax regime, and then chuck happened, and immediately what happened is the ORB, and this is basically the 4% data again in a resolved intraday time frame, what I look every day, and this is always open in front of me the whole day, right? So what happened, by 2:30 we were in a bullish regime, meaning we were above zero, है ना? तो एंड बाय द डे एंड विच इज़ 3:15 के बाद 2.3 यहाँ पे प्रिंट हो रहा है, एंड दैट सेम 23rd इट प्रिंटेड टू 2.35, but we were bearish, and that bearish to bullish happened on that day. Shakeout spiked on that day. What is the ORB O crossed that day. So these are all adding confluence. Okay, it's always better to look at multiple things, because things are not purely deterministic, right? Ki there is not a switch ki ye hoga to ye hoga. So that's why you add more confirmations. Spike in media volume. Wait, this is not media volume. Sorry, this is Kedia volume. So this is the fourth thing that I look. Now, what is Kedia volume? I've mentioned this before. Kedia volume is basically volume which is significant volume. Okay, so generally what happens, this is total volume of the market, and this is Kedia volume. Again, the axes are not same for them, so that's why Kedia volume अभी ज़्यादा नज़र आ रहा है. So you will see that almost on all of these days when shakeouts happened, the Kedia volume spikes. Okay, so 4th June, huge Kedia volume spike. So 4th June was the election result day, and उसके पिछले बार if you see 27 March, 13 March, most probably these days also coincide with shakeouts. Okay, 13 March, 27 March. So 13 March, you see, this was the shakeout event. It was not a shakeout. The next day was a shakeout, but on that day the Kedia volume spiked. 27 March was nothing, but still it spiked. But in general, there is also a significant volume coming on the day of the shakeout, which basically means that at the lower end of the price, lower end of, although यहाँ पे नहीं आया lower end of the price, what's happening, there is significant volumes coming in and pushing the price up, right? So by itself Kedia volume doesn't mean anything, but when the Kedia volume appears, what does the price do? That is very important. Now this was the only factor which did not give me like a very high probability on this day, because on this day the Kedia volume did not spike. So if you see on this one third, the spike was like minimum, मतलब ठीक है, baseline पे ही है, but the Kedia volume on the intraday time frame, where I also see here, if you can see today, the Kedia volume at the later part of the day, the whole throughout the day it was really high. Again, the ये this is not the same. I mean, the axes are not same for all of them, but the Kedia volume rising throughout the day basically tells you that the significant volume is increasing today, and that volume actually had spiked on 23rd. Okay, so that was a slight confirmation, although not the Kedia volume confirmation did not come on the daily candle. And what happens the next day, confirmation 10 DMA cross definitely hota hai, and advanced volume spikes. So advanced volume is basically nothing but what percentage of volumes are the volumes which are moving the prices up. Okay, so advanced volumes are here, so this is the advanced volume. So on this day it was a bullish day, and the bullish day was also driven by high volumes. The next day was bearish, and the bearishness was also driven by high volume. So next day the spike will happen. So July 24th we had a spike. Again, this is not very convincing spike, but nonetheless there is a spike. So if you and all of them do not have a similar contribution to this one. Shakeouts has very high contribution. If shakeouts are really good, then the probability is really high, and the probability increases once Skidia volume is also a very higher probability, and the probability increases when the strength signal comes, which is basically 10 DMA crossing its own 5 DMA. So with all of that, the next day, even when the markets were that during the day itself, subah subah hi with this cross happened, and that again added to your this one. So why this is very good, or not so good? I mean, what my question is, why this is important to you as a swing trader? See, if you're a positional trader, this will not make much sense. At least it will not make much sense in the time frame which I am using. So for you to, as a positional trader, to make more sense, you would probably have to look at some other time frames. 50 time frame is the best, right? But for if you're a swing trader, then getting in and getting out at peak places becomes really important to you. So imagine if you had made positions on the shakeout day. Again, on making position on the shakeout day is not very easy as a beginner trader. That I also know, because the fear factor is really high. Kya hoga if the market goes? But at least when the confirmation comes, though, that is the time when you should be starting to make this one. And these are not hindsight. I have been calling this whole thing during this shakeout, plus in some rudimentary form before as well. And this took time, couple of months at least, or more than 1.5 year to sort of come to a point. And I'm not saying this whole system will work exactly like this for the rest of my trading career, because volatility regimes will change, trend regimes will change, and a lot of things are changed. But this definitely adds to the system, right? Now, why this is very important is coming to the part of anticipation. So basically, that's how you time the bottom, right? So now, why this is more important is it basically helps you to anticipate. Okay, to anticipate that the market is gonna go where. So let's do that exercise. So what do you think is the market going to do on Monday, right? Today was a very bullish bar, and in general, so right now the market is at a small O'Neill pivot. Okay, so there is a cup, there's a small cup, and the small cup के top पे ये आके अड़ा हुआ है. So it definitely will have some supply from here in general. And so what I would, my best anticipation is that the best case scenario, we will have a bullish bar, and then we'll go to new high, and then possibly this trend line will make more sense now, which is basically something like this. uh, and then the pullback will make more sense after that. But if that doesn't happen, in that case also, uh, because we had such high strength, uh, a consolidation or a day or two between at the top end of today's bullish bar makes more sense. Okay, so like I said again, the indices be might not be the showing the true picture. So that is why when you also mix this with what the general breadth, the whole market ka breadth strength is doing, that will basically tell you more. So if from here, what you see is that the the short term breadth is right now at what, 66.7, 70 levels. And you have seen previously that, at a oversold sort of levels, around, it can go even to 90, right? So that means that yes, we can definitely anticipate things moving still, because we are still not at a overheated zone, although we are at a previous sort of resistance. And from momentum to katai, we are not at oversold, overbought levels, because it's just starting to rise from the near zero level. So if you can see that at a very peak time, at around 19 June, after that fourth, fifth debacle, the momentum also reached, above like 90 levels. So these are the two extremes. And so we know that we still have a lot of area before we start to top on a shorter term. So this is the utility of breadth. Okay, now another utility I'll tell you if you where if you guys are active on Twitter, there are a lot of people who share their learnings on Twitter, and after 19th, after 18th 19th, there were a lot of chatter in Twitter saying that, oh, right now things are not working, breakouts are failing, this and that and that. And it actually made sense, because we know that after this kind of bullishness, what happened, the trend now slid below the 5-day moving average. So, and then after the next 10 days or so, the direction of the trend was downside. Although we were in a mota bullish regime, the direction of the trend was downside. What does this mean is that this is the time when things are either pulling back or consolidating, right? So this is the regime. So in a bullish regime also, there are like sort of three phases. One, which is the start of bullishness, which right now last 3 days, where sort of even today we can say that it's a start of bullishness wala regime. And then there will come when there is like this regime where like there's a constant momentum for the next 5 to 6 days. And that during that time, it will also be shown from the graph that it will be constantly rising and above the 5-day moving average, right? And then there is a third phase, where is like we are topping and then going down. So if you are initiating any new trades with larger size, in general, probabilistically, the your trades working during the initial phase of the starting of the uptrend versus the late phases, you will inherently, if you go and measure your trade work during these dividing into these two phases, you will definitely find that these are the trades which is actually pegged down your account curve, right? So using this system, although we know that all of those days were bullish, but using this system we could have like, okay, fine, अभी मेरे को ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं करने का है ना. So this is basically the theoretical part. And again, you can also see during this time also, although Nifty 500 was at the like making higher highs every day, but the breadth was pathetic. Like we were on the we were in a like what's the Minervini lingo, not easy money environment, right? So these are the use case scenario. The utility of breadth is basically this. Okay. How are we doing with time? 30 minutes. All right. So so that's why the anticipation for me is that we are very strong, at least breadth wise, and then at best I anticipate a small pullback or a consolidation before like breaking out to new highs and challenging the trend line on the upside here. So let's now move on to discussing the sectors and groups and strength, and which could do well in the market, right? So one big theme that has emerged post budget is the theme of the budget. Things which have been allocated higher budget during the budget would have a tailwind now to do well. And you guys all know what are those. I am not a fundamental guy mostly, so most of my learnings are also coming from somewhere else. But but apart from those themes, the themes which were already very strong previously, which were in my opinion shipping, railway, defense, those guys will still be strong. Okay. Now the why I say that is, uh, strength is not something which fizzles out, which appears in a week or two and fizzles out in a week or two. Strength comes in a sector because of something structural, fundamental, structural, whatever you want to call that. And if these guys were in a structural uptrend, it will take some amount of distribution to halt that uptrend and reverse the trend. Okay. So far I don't see that kind of distribution right now, and that's why my bias still is that they will uh, still move up. There are some new, again, auto is not new, but yesterday and today the breakout happened, so that's why I'm saying this is new. Telecom has picked up, and if you remember 2 weeks ago, there was clearly on the relative strength dashboard, the it was undeniable strength of telecom. I should have already opened this. So sector rotation. Yeah. So in the 20-day time sectoral return on the 20-day, you can see that the top one is this one. This is the top, right? So 18 July. When this happened, if you go back to the HPA weekly during that week, I clearly mentioned that telecom is like the Usain Bolt. So if you've seen the Jamaica and the Jamaican national team को कभी रेस करते देखा है, so at the relay comes to the last person, the distance between the Jamaican runner and the rest of the country becomes like so wide, and that's how you see relative strength in sectors and groups. So on that week, telecom had started to